Hello, audience. Welcome to today's program for Horn of Africa TV. My name is Rahel Weldeab Sebhatu, and I'm here with Mebrak Ghebreweldi. We will be discussing Eritrean women and on the occasion of International Women's Day. This year's International Women's Day in Eritrea is being organized under the slogan, Eritrean Women, Pillars of Resilience and Development. So my guest here today, Mebrak Ghebreweldi, is a social entrepreneur, public speaker, facilitator, business startup mentor, and coach. She was a member of the Eritrean People's Liberation Front from 1978 to 1994. As a young female independence fighter, she was in the mechanized Division 74, Frontline Division 70, and in the Department of Security Intelligence as a Morse code radio operator until Eritrea gained its independence in 1991. Today, she resides in the UK, where she's a mother, role model, inspirational person who does a lot of mentoring and coaching around business and social entrepreneurship. She also has a training center, or had started this training center in Eritrea, Wanine Management and Leadership Center, and we'll talk a little bit about that as the discussion goes. Welcome, Mebrak. How are you doing?
I am fine. Thank you very much, Rahel. It's great that on the occasion of International Women's Day, we are talking with people like you, Warsaw. So it's dear to me to talk about my comrades and also, discuss about how do we pass our history, how do we pass this inequality that took a different way of gaining our equality from the whole world. So thank you very much for having me. It's great to see you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Let's talk first about, the uniqueness of Eritrean women and their role in both the Eritrean liberation struggle and then in defending Eritrea's sovereignty with during the border war that took place between 1998 and 2000. What do you think the world can learn from the unique experiences of Eritrean women throughout the generations?
Well, thank you very much. Before I go to what the world can learn from us, I just like to say a few words about how I joined the struggle and who I was joining with. I am part of the Cambodia. We are called Cambodia. 1978. When Soviet Union was, supporting the regime Mengistu Haile Mariam, the EPLF has to go back to Sahel to make sure that it mobilize and bring their power and their resilience to defend themselves and then to attack again the enemy. So 2,000 women joined the EPLF in one training center called Lirat. So I am proud to be one of them. But having said that, there's so many Eritrean women who joined the struggle before us. And also, we should not forget that, the history of women in Eritrea in contributing against colonialism and occupation started way, way, way before we picked the gun and join our brothers and fathers to fight. So I just want to make sure that that I am speaking on behalf of all the generation that joined the EPLF, but in particular the 2,000 girls that joined the EPLF in 1978. In terms of what the world can learn from us, I mean, the issue of equality has been started many, many years in the world. if you read back in history, it's 1848, the American Socialist Party was raising the issue of women's equality because they were, paid less. There was no equality for women. So the issue is raised, in different way. And then, it becomes in Europe as well. I think it started 1910 in Germany. There was a kind of conference, different women from 17 countries came. And in fact, a lady called Clara is the one that suggests that we should have an International Women's Day. And that is 1910, I think. And to become an international day to be celebrated worldwide, it took it 67 years because the official International Women's Day was celebrated from 1977, if I'm right. So it took a long time even to get to have one day, to celebrate women's solidarity. So, but what makes the Eritrean, women's participation unique is it wasn't against men, it was against colonialism, because you can't have equality, while you are colonized and occupied. And I think, fighting on the side of our, brothers and fathers and grandfathers, it's something that makes the Eritrean women's participation unique to me.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it wasn't like a riot. It wasn't like, we want to be equal, we want to be this, we want to be this. It is through participation. And nobody can go against that. So I think while equality should be given, everybody should be equal. But also equality it's a kind of earned.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think we earn our equality. I don't think anyone can dispute that. So, and I think that's what makes the Eritrean woman's role before the independence and after independence so unique, that when mothers see their children killed by the Ethiopians, Ethiopian governments, they've had enough. And in fact, they say, you know what, I don't want you to see you die here. You go and fight for your independence. You go and fight for and I'm going to be on your side.
Mm.
So I think that's what makes it the Eritrean women's participation so unique in every way. Those who pick the gun, they fought, they die side by side. Those who were, working even in the most unacceptable kind of cleaning and being made in every country, they have contributed.
Exactly. You mean Eritrean women in the diaspora, right?
Exactly. And those women who are in the village, in the towns, they were underground, supporters to the cause. They were doing everything. We've seen that our mothers doing that, hiding guns, hiding, independent fighters, all that. I don't think I have seen or read anything like the Eritreans' women's role in terms of fighting against colonialism and occupation within that for their own equality. So it's all together. It's because, and if you see it, I don't think, you can just fight, for your equality. I think the equality is the struggle for all of us. It's for men, it's for women. Equality is an issue for all of us.
Yeah.
So I think that's what makes us unique, because we fought for equality together, and nobody can deny our equality. It's earned.
Yeah, yeah. when the National Union of Eritrean Women was founded for the first time in 1979 in Arak, in a liberated area in Eritrea, I believe the slogan was emancipation through equal participation. And what you highlight is very important. I think for young Eritreans to truly understand, and even the world over, that it wasn't. Eritrean women were about 30% of the fighting forces for the Eritrean People's Liberation Front, but then there was also women who organized for the things that you said when it came to hiding fighters, passing on secret information, underground work, food, and there was an overwhelming support from Eritrean women in all aspects of the fight against colonialism that basically allowed for us to gain our independence at the end of the day. And I think, in fact, I was in a discussion the other day where somebody asked a member of HoA, the National Union of Eritrean Women here in Sweden, if HoA is a feminist movement. And she said, no. But the thing was, and I had to explain to them, you have to understand the difference between how Western feminism is kind of situated, or how did it come about, and the type of feminism we see in Africa in the Eritrean context. Whereas, in the West, they were fighting for their rights or fighting against men for their rights. The situation was different in our own context, the Eritrean context, because to fight colonialism and imperialism meant securing the equal rights of all Eritreans, right, despite their gender. And also for not just for the right for emancipation, but for the right to live, because a lot of women, civilian women, and children were killed by the Derg regime. And that's something I think we should also keep in mind, that the liberation struggle, or at least the occupying forces, the imperialists, the colonizers, targeted women all the time, in as civilians, as potential spies, what have you. Thousands were imprisoned, and yet many women took a proactive stance by actually joining the liberation struggle in order to achieve independence. And personally, as as a younger Eritrean who, yes, was a child at the time that Eritrea gained its independence, I always try to remember to not take for granted all the rights that I was able to enjoy as an Eritrean woman, because those rights came about through the sacrifice of our foremothers, right? And again, just the way that it was so multifaceted, their participation, even as liberation fighters, they were part of the army. They were also part of the, we called like the public administration forces at the Revolution School, Betim Saura.
Yeah.
In health, in mechanics, in things like printing books. I mean, their participation was so wide. Also, the EPLF had done so many programs to ensure literacy among all people, including women, especially women, reducing maternal mortality rate, infant mortality rate. Mm-hmm. I've read stories about how when it came to, because there was also like the famine, right? Mm-hmm. The man-made famine and drought that was across the country, how in liberated areas they had made sure that pregnant women got the proper nutrition by kind of rationing nutritious food to them. And then also, campaign against harmful practices, right? Gendered practices like female genital mutilation. This, I think, is something very important for us to remember as a younger generation. But this also makes, the story of Eritrean women unique and something that we should all be very proud of.
Yeah, I think, I am really proud that, as a young Warsaw, you have captured all this, and thank you, Rahel. And another thing I want to add as well is that in order to have equality, you have to change the society. And that is the job of both the men and the women. But I think the Eritrean women played a huge role in that, in really educating society. I remember, the Department of Public Administration, we call it Kifl Hizbi. They used to go to every angle of the country and teach, first of all, how hard is that to go to the, nomadic, communities and even to try to convince the women themselves, forget convincing the men that, they can go out of the hut, and they can, even allowing a woman with a gun to go inside their hut and teach their wives, and the wives want to be taught, this is something that, and even learn their language. I know a lot of our comrades, they become fluent in different languages, like, the Tigray and the Afar and so on and so on. It just and we have members, that, young girls who've been like Fatna Falket or Sadia and so on, that they came and they've been educated themselves in the revolutionary school, and then they went back to their own communities to teach, Ade Zainab, the oral, poet, herself, she can just, say anything in a poetic, she was a gifted woman. And, that kind of role of the Eritrean woman, sometimes it makes me feel that how do the young generation write about this? Because when you say, what is our role? Well, this is our role, but what relationship does it have to the feminism in the West? I think, to me, I'm not against feminist activities, but to tell you the truth, it's a complete different from how we gain our independence. I'm not saying equality is absolute in Eritrea, not at all. We have a long way to go, but we've achieved the pillars. We've achieved, that a woman, can have the right of every man, and it's in the policy. Okay, it's in the policy. How every individual use that policy, how every woman make use of this policy, it depends on all of us. But I think if there is something that we've achieved, we came with the Eritrean as an independent country, but also we came with our equal rights as well. And it's written, it's in the policy. Okay.
It's in the policy and the laws as well.
It's in the law. So, how do you make of that? In that law is about changing society, changing society economically, academically, in health-wise. So I think, to me, my question to you would be: you are in the Western, countries, you are going to further education. I'm sure you're very active in the social media. What does it mean to you? How do you see what we've earned, what we have achieved, and what does it mean to the young generation, and how are you going to keep it improved to the to the Eritrean society? That's what I always think, and I don't know really how is it. What does it mean to you and to your generation?
I know that it means just a lot of pride. A lot of pride. I mean, just the symbolism of it, especially on social media when it comes to like sharing pictures of, women freedom fighters. We love it. We absolutely love it. And then, for Eritrean young women in the West, I think that because of the struggles and sacrifices that, their foremothers have gone through, I think they have a kind of like a base or background to feel an immense amount of pride, right? It's when you live in the West, born, raised, or just growing up in the West, the question of where are you from, and with all the stereotypes that are given towards Africa, or Black people in general, to be able to fall back on our history and understand that the Eritrean women possess so much agency.
Yeah.
Right. They were so active in bringing about independence, and the fact that agency has also been passed down to younger generations. I believe, at least for those who know about it, that they feel very proud about it. Do all young Eritreans in the diaspora fully understand the role of Eritrean women? I'm not 100% sure. But that's something I think we should work on.
Yeah.
We definitely need to, especially as young people, we have a very active role to play in that. We'll get into that discussion, but I wanted to talk a little bit about, the generation of the, I don't want to say older generation, but the generation of the independence struggle.
Yeah, you can tell us older generation. That's fine.
and the younger generation, Warside generation, or those who currently reside outside of Eritrea, those in the diaspora. What has been achieved and what needs to be done now in order to narrow any type of gap between these generations?
I think, to me, we seem to be a kind of pointing to the gaps. Of course, there are gaps. There's so many gaps. But if the Warsai and the generation of tegadalit is not very well linked, well, how is the country keep going? Who do we think that the country is holding together? Is the younger generation. I think we are really, concentrating on those young people that left the country. Well, you know what? Surprise, surprise. There are people in Eritrea, and they are the younger generation doing everything. Mm-hmm. You go. It really sometimes, surprise me when I read, those kind of things. Oh, nobody is in the country. I mean, men and women, younger generation, are everywhere. The education, the health ministry, the Ministry of Health, the immigration, everywhere you go, it's just by the younger generation. It's the young generation that running the country, and the hard work. I travel to Eritrea everywhere. I go to Kirkabet, and I go to all these new dams, and also it's a place that I grew up. So I like going back to places, like Barca and Sahel and so on and so on. When you go there and see all these young people doing the agriculture, digging the dams, constructing the roads, it's the younger generation. Okay, I'm sure the generation of the tegadalit is still there. They are their fathers. In fact, they call them Baba, Babahusto, Babahusto, Babahusto. And it's quite surprising that, and a kind of emotional to me to see those, older, generation like mine, coaching and mentoring those, all these machines. Who is running them? Who is operating them? Is the younger generation. So I think we need to make sure that we need to stop thinking that the generation of the tegadalit didn't pass, their legacy to the Warsai and to the Hedri. It is going on. It's happening.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I mean, just in terms of, intergenerational dialogue and how we can, further, learn and just remember, their legacy and things like this.
Yeah, I think what I see the gap is here in the diaspora. What I see the gap is the diaspora. Once young generation or people left the country, in particular the younger generation, the Western society is a complex society. I feel quite sometimes upset how they've been, a kind of the confusion that is being created for them is phenomenal. And as a young person who came from a different culture, from a culture where, friendship, erkenet, going to the streets and having a good fun, whether it's, a laugh or, whether it's walking on the streets, what does it mean to come to this society? How do they cope with that? And in addition to that, all these people taking their mind left and right. I think those are the generation that probably we need to do a bit more work. How do we connect them to us? To us, not even to, to the EPLF or something. They are our children. So how do we bring this, this care and love that we've inherited from our generations and generations back? It's a fighting against the Western systems, Western cultures, the individualistic kind of culture, the privacy. And it's not easy to connect with a young boy who is in the middle of nowhere in a very small or shared room that been taken out from his system, his culture, his language and everything. So I think we need to think, and it's a big task, and I think it needs a lot of dialogue, a lot of interaction, a lot of dedication to make sure that those young people in different countries are not going to be a lost generation.
Yeah,
and I think first of all to each other, and second, if we can help, the generation above them, what is need to be done. The younger, generation in Eritrea, they are in Eritrea. And I think all we could do is to support them to make the country developed and they get the reward. Those are the people building the country. Those are, and we all involved in building the nation, but in particular those who are, in a very with a very low payment, with all the challenges of housing, the challenges of finance and so on and so on. What do we do for them? But we need to do something for ourselves here. You cannot ask someone doesn't have. You cannot ask support from someone that is not supporting themselves. So it's a very complex issue within the diaspora, but I think it's getting better. The social media, if there is a positive about it, you can connect to so many people using social media. And I think what we're doing itself is a positive kind of communication, but a lot of work needs to be done by the communities, by the government officers, representative of the Eritrean governments in all the countries. A lot of work is needed to bring the generation of the young migrants back to their community. In terms of has the legacy passed? I think given the situation, given the challenge, I would say yes. Otherwise the country wouldn't exist if the diaspora is not supporting the country, the family, the relatives, the friends, and if the younger generation are not holding on and keep going in Eritrea, supporting the older generation and doing all the physical and mental work, while we would be collapsed. So it is, given all the challenge, I am absolutely confident that, the legacy of the generation of the Tegadalit is passing. I mean, you can add that yourself. You one of Warsai, and you being a member of the the National Youth and Students, and you're still fighting. You're fighting on social media. You're fighting, on everywhere. So I think there are hundreds and thousands of you. So I can't say that the legacy is not, otherwise it's denying.
Yeah, no,
what you're doing.
No, I agree with you 100%. There's definitely a lot of work that needs to be done to bring more young people into the community, and the way that communication is done between the young people and the older people needs to also be a bit fine-tuned, right? So that the young people understand the values and principles of their ancestors, right? Their forefathers and foremothers. So yeah, I totally agree with that. I think what it is, I think why this question always comes up is maybe we just can't kind of get enough of our past, right? There was so many things that, your generation had achieved with very little resources, no external help in the sense, like, especially during the Cold War, where it was either the America or the Soviet Union helping. The Hezbollah did not have that type of help. And so, the legacy that we want to live up to, I think you guys set a really high bar, right?
Yeah.
So that's why, this question keeps on coming up, like, are we really doing enough? And I understand it's very difficult, especially understanding the martyrdom that came with the struggle. Nobody can beat that type of, the sacrifice, right? At least not while they're alive. But, the bar has been set high, and with the different, if I can call them challenges or obstacles that one faces in the West, maybe sometimes you lose sight of, that legacy, or, you question, okay, how much time did I put into the community and things like this? How much time did I put into myself? That's also something that people, young people need to do, right? They cannot contribute to the country if they haven't empowered themselves, especially through education, for instance.
Yeah. But I think, there are 2-3 things now that, we need to address. Number one is every generation respond to the request of their time. I think we need to understand that. Every generation respond to the request of a country, of any situation at a time. Our time and before us was to respond, to give our life, to fight for independence. And we've done that very well. We gave our life for independence. And I tell you what, it's not because we've been asked to fight and we just went, for a fighting. No, I don't remember that it was making an impact on me when I was a little girl. But what I have seen have pushed me to go to fight. Everywhere was killing. Everywhere, women were killing. People praying, were killed. Young people were killed. That time was everything that we've seen is about killing, murdering, torturing, so on and so on. And you didn't know as a child, you go and hide yourself sometimes, So it was a response to that. Enough is enough. If I'm going to be killed on Asmara's high street or on the village while you're collecting your wheat and looking after your animals, you might as well fight, and kill someone who's coming to kill you, and have the the generations behind you freedom. So it was, from years and years, the request from the situation gone up and up and up. And our generation and before our generation was requested to give their life if they want to live in peace. We were just going to have our peace. Mm-hmm. And peace ask life.
Yeah.
And so our generation and before our generation was requested to pay their life. What is this generation is going to be responding to?
Mm.
You know, why should I compare them? I don't want them to fight. I don't want them to die. Why should they? I thought we've done that. It's unfortunate that we have to go again to war, from 1998. But we thought that is it. It's closed. Chapter is closed.
Mm.
So this generation and us as generation, we thought now is the time to build a country. Now is to go to further education. Now this is time to have children. So this is what we expected, and it's the dream has to deferred. So, but I don't want the younger generation like you to go and fight and be and requested to pay your life. That is paid, and that's what makes the 1998 war so bitter, so upsetting, because we thought we've done that, but we had to pay another 19,000 or more just to secure the independence, to secure the sovereignty of the country. So I think we need to make sure that we should not compare the war side. Obviously, they've joined our generation. They fought and they paid their life. But this generation growing up now, what the country is requesting from them is, it has to be different. It's about development. It's about developing themselves first. Mm-hmm. It's about, become, a person of knowledge, social capital, entrepreneurship, all this. So, just develop yourself so you can develop your country. Be good to yourself so you can be good to the others. So they should not compare themselves with us. They should just respond to the request of their time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I remember, how it was in 2000 during the Third Offensive, and Ethiopian forces had gone quite inside Eritrea, had reached as far as Barantu and places like that. And I personally, I had just finished high school. I just took I was taking the matriculation exam at that time. So, going to do military service, it was at my time, so to say. But there was also so many university students who had stopped their studies and said, okay, now this is it. Like, we have to defend our country. And that's what they did young people did that in the thousands.
Yeah.
So, kind of remembering that, is, for sure, that type of legacy of, defending the country was passed on. Another thing, when I came back from my military training, my mother was telling me things about how, some of her friends were like, oh, how did you let her go? Like, you shouldn't have let her go and all this type of things. And she responded, no, she's in a safer place. During the time, there was a lot of propaganda coming out from the TPLF that they were going to kill boys from like 5 years or older or something like this, something to that extent.
Yeah.
And my mother was worried that my younger brother would be in danger. So she was worried about what she's going to do in that situation. But she said, no, for you are fine. Of course, you could protect yourself. You had a gun.
Exactly.
Sweet time. It was 21 years ago now, but I remember those times very fondly.
And even in that, women repeated history again. When the Eritrean women are, it's a kind of, they are in front. just in front or on the side when, things like this come, because, you can't have equality without sovereignty of a country. How can you? So, talking about, the role of Eritrean women, I remember that my mother came to see me, and the war started while she was there. She came for 6 months, and when the war started, I was having my second baby, but she said, "No way. My country is at war, and you expect me to sit in England?"
Mm.
And we had to cancel her ticket, and she went back to Eritrea. I mean, this is, and I never forget that. She said, "You're safe. You can look after yourself with a baby, but I am gonna go back home and see where my country is going." And she was, and she went. So I mean, this it's not just the younger generation. Every woman of Eritrea, it just give everything they have, or everything that the country asked to defend the country. Within that, defend our rights. So I mean, it's a quite unique in history, and I think when you say is the legacy is passing, one thing that I'd like to share with you is that we left to fight when we were young. Those 2,000 women, if I'm just going to talk on about my batch, we were probably between 16 to 19. We were all young. I was 8th grade. I just had my general examination 8th grade and left. And I came back as an adult, quite mature adult. So when they say, have the generation of tegadalit pass the history, we didn't have that capacity. We have naturally gifted writers and poets like Alam Seged Tasfai, like Samuel Adonai, now Owl. So we have those people that pop in, and also women. Women participated in music. Women, lots of singers and things like that. So we have an artist that develop in the field, but writing a book, writing your story, in a book, it does need a lot of skills. What I would expect is the younger generation to pass on that, taking the oral history from us. Every fighter is a book, but someone has to help by interviewing, by what we're doing now. So when people go from diaspora, all those, in the country with a passion of writing, documenting, filming, recording, researching, they have to be interested in that. You know what? Maybe because we've been demonized, and because we've been absolutely been, kind of our nationality, our identity have been tested. And sometimes you can be confused. Sometimes you just you find yourself, what is going on? Those hard-earned, histories and stories, they've been tested so much. And sometimes, especially the younger generation, by all this information, by all this social media, by all this, a kind of making Eritrea, a country that, an alien, younger generation might think that, is this our country? Is this where we come from? I would say to them, it's okay, but you have a unique history you need to be proud of. Write about it. Ask us, we can tell you what happened and what is going to happen in the future. Don't deviate from your history. Don't derail from your history. That is easy because you are absolutely stretched by so many, information. One tells you something, the other one tells you something. You read this. There are pictures, fake news, and all those kind of things. I would say to the young generation, just go to your history and stick with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, what you said is very powerful and very important, that, the young people actually play an active role in collecting oral history, right? A lot of our freedom fighters left to the field at a young age, where they left their studies in order to fight for our country. Yeah. And then, they're still continuing to play a role in, the governing, managing, and development of our country as well. So there is a lot that we can do as young people with the opportunities that we've been afforded to Eritrea's independence, right? And those who are in the diaspora as well, that we can do a lot of work in terms of, recording oral history, asking, we have ex-fighters out here in the diaspora, we have them back home. People can, inside the country and outside, especially the young people, can play a very active role in this aspect. I totally agree with you. From recording it to transcribing it to writing about it, even when it comes to, films, documentary, or, a more kind of fictional or reenactment type of film. We do have a lot of people who have those type of skills. And it is very important that young people step up to that plate to make sure that, despite all of these attempts to erase or rewrite our history, that we have the documentation, right? We have the archived record of what really happened, who was there, when did it happen, and all this type of things. I hope that the people who watch this episode of Horn of Africa take up that challenge to play an active role in.
Yeah, I hope so. But I think to make sure that children are connected to their country, parents as well need to play a big role in that. I think, I know, financial constraints is there. It's not easy to, pay a ticket for, 2-3 children to go back home, but they need to go back home. They need, if it's possible, the best gift that you can give to your child is taking them home. Taking them home, introduce them to the land where you come from. Take them to the village. Take them everywhere, not just, around Asmara or Massawa, but everywhere. Mm-hmm. Make them relate to the country. I tell you what, I mean, my younger son just finished his first degree, and because he was interested in Eritrea, and his subject, in fact, he was studying, international business, and I have never expected him to come up to do his final thesis on Eritrea, because he was doing on direct international investment, and he did all the research, on Eritrea, and obviously with the sanction and so on, it is quite difficult to get reports and research and so on direct international investment on Eritrea. And I say to him, why don't you do it on potential? What is the potential of Eritrea for international investors? And he wrote to those people that we know in Eritrea what they think. What is the potential in Eritrea for direct investment? I mean, the response she's got is just amazing. And having that, understanding that, and being visiting the country, he wrote his thesis and he got first. And out of that first, businesses, they employ the best. So all those people that got first, they've been offered the job. And I think every Eritrean has to empower their children. We have a unique history, and in the end, the feedback that he has, he's got first-class degree, say, you have brought to university something that we don't know. Nobody has done a research and a thesis on Eritrea and the potential of Eritrea for direct, investment or international direct investment. So what I am saying is, us as well, we need to be proud of who we are. And that pride has to go past the children. So parents have a huge role in guiding their, not forcing them, but guiding them. Be proud. Act you're proud. Not just, oh, you are Eritrean, you can't do that. But act with pride about your identity, about who you are. And then the children will follow that. And I can tell you, one thing that, we really, really, need to push is students should go and do research in Eritrea.
Mm-hmm.
I get a lot of, from the universities. In fact, there was a discussion of decolonizing curriculum. And I told, the people, at the cafeteria, that we have a decolonized curriculum. And they made, they tease me. You always say you have something in Eritrea, but where is the reference? Mm-hmm. Where is the research? Where is the evidence? So I was talking about the zero, the Bet Mersora. That was a pure decolonized curriculum. Mm-hmm. But who did a research on that? Mm. I don't know if there is. I hope there is, but I couldn't guide them. I couldn't tell them, there you go. This is where it is. I couldn't find anything on the web or on the internet about the pure decolonized curriculum of Bet Mersora. So there are a lot of research that need to be done. So I'm sure you are in the universities, and the decolonizing is a fashionable word at the moment. Mm-hmm. That every academic wants to talk about decolonizing the curriculum. So how do we invent that? I mean, the teachers at that time could just copy and paste all the curriculum that from, the best schools, American curriculum or, British curriculum, but they choose to make it pure Eritrean. Mm-hmm. And where are we with that? Yeah. Who would support that? And, I'm sure there's a lot of work is, taking place in the Ministry of Education in Eritrea, but it's a gold mine for researchers to go and find out about this African country, try to have an education completely decolonized.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. I jotted it down. If somebody doesn't beat me to it, it'll be my next research project, hopefully.
Fantastic. There you go.
Yes. I wanted to give you the opportunity to speak a little bit about the Management and Leadership Center that you had founded in Eritrea. Wanine Management and Leadership Center. I think it's a good example of what those in the diaspora can do or contribute to when it comes to efforts back home to develop the country and the people.
It's a very small kind of contribution, I would say. I always want to go back and contribute because for me, and I think for all of us, for the Eritrean woman, promise is a promise. Mm. We don't take our promise lightly. And I think that's another thing that makes us very unique as well. The Eritrean women are very loyal. Mm-hmm. Loyal to their country, loyal to the cause, and loyal to the Eritrean people. Mm-hmm. So, and I think we are still keeping our promise to our comrades. You can't have a life in the West and make it and so on and so on, and you forget your past. You can't do that. That is breaking your promise. So for me, with a very, very, very small capacity, I thought, I will go and share, what I know, what I have learned, and that is to support, small businesses, women who are trying to set up their own businesses, and also practicing managers and middle leaders that, in organization, whether it's community organizations such as the National Union of Youth and Students, the National Union of Eritrean Women, the National Confederation of Workers Union, and other ministries as well. I think it's just about sharing what we have learned. Personally, it's something that I feel that we, the generation of tegadalit, we brought the freedom, we brought the independence, but we want to see the country developed. We want to see social justice. We want to see equality. We want to see education and health in every corner of the country. That's what we promise to those who didn't make it to come home. And I think it's part of that. It's very small. It's not something that, we even, but it is, it is what it is. And, thanks to COVID-19, we couldn't go back home and carry on doing it. But so far, we nearly completed 2 courses. And I hope, when this COVID is over, we'll go back. And also the idea is also to train, those younger generation in Eritrea, and then they can train more. Yes. The ultimate aim is to share, the knowledge, combining the historical knowledge that we have, and bring in something good that we've learned here, and leave, the other things behind, and then bring something that works for Eritrea. I mean, there are a lot of other trainings going on, but, for me, it's just something that I'd like to contribute. So, yeah, and everybody is supportive, but very excited, which makes me, quite happy. Everyone is very supportive and excited, and we do a good job together.
Excellent. Yeah, no, definitely. It's it sounds like a great project, and I hope that those who listen to this discussion are inspired by your efforts. You call this a small contribution. I don't know if the trainees would think that, but you've been able to contribute this way, and I hope that other people, basically find some inspiration to do that. We've kind of given some assignments to young Eritreans, what type of contributions they could make, and that's a good example. We should do things where we're situated. First, we should make sure to educate and empower ourselves. And then, when it comes to working in the community, we should, reach out to the community. We can play a role in collecting the oral history of the ex-fighters, and, even the mothers who have contributed in kind to the liberation struggle. And then, of course, go back home, right? Go back home to be familiar with our culture, people, landscape. And after, learning about that, do research there, do research on Eritrea, and then, do these type of similar contributions that you have done with this Wanine Management and Leadership Center. Very inspirational.
I think, you've raised, a very interesting kind of questions, such as, have the Eritrean women passed their history? The history of Eritrean women is the history of the country. So I think, to me, again, it needs to be a work of all of us. Those who can write, who can, record, who can film, who can do, we're happy to tell them our stories. But, life has been quite demanding for generation of, the tegadalit, and in particular for generation of tegadalit, because, we came and we had to, we have to start family, you know what I mean? Having children and things like that, is quite demanding as well. So I think, there are a lot need to be done. And also the country has to have an economic power to do those research, to be able to write and capture the stories, because a lot of generation of tegadalit are getting old. We've been old. Things will too difficult to remember. So I think I feel sometimes we are kind of running with time, and but you have to take the whole country, the whole society as one. If you for example, in 2018, we and myself and two other EPLF fighters, women, we discuss and say, why don't we write a proposal, because we want to reach those those women that who have contributed to as a civilians. They and we submitted to to the Hamadeh, but where is the funding? Where is the budget? And I think that is what I mean. You have to see the whole, in you can't take one in isolation and you want it to develop. The whole society has to develop. The whole society, the economy, and everything has to come. Unfortunately, if there is no economical development, then all the issue that we talking about, research, about filming, about recording, they have to take on the back burner, because the priority is something else nationally. And but women are playing the biggest role in building the nation. I think we're doing as much as we could in terms of passing our legacy, and it's an ongoing and a big task for everybody.
Yes, I absolutely agree. I wanted to bring up the symbolism, to discuss a little bit the symbolism of the Eritrean woman tegadalit, or the especially when it comes to pictures of your generation as fighters. A lot of I've seen instances where people would associate these pictures to somebody else or some other type of struggle. I know that the TPLF have used a lot of Eritrean women images and pictures to make it look like it's their own freedom fighters. And I also know that, in fact, I have the picture here. I bought this book just because it has the tegadalit Lemlem on the cover. A lot of people actually think that this picture is a picture of Winnie Mandela, but no, her name is Lemlem, and she's an Eritrean freedom fighter.
Yeah.
What can you say about the power of the image of the Eritrean woman freedom fighter? And what does that symbolize in today's world? Today's world, where a lot of people want to...
it is unbelievable. And that's why people want to copy it.
Yes.
This history, and that's what I mean, that the younger generation should be absolutely proud of their, older generation, their fathers and their mothers. It's unbelievable. Nobody can believe it. How is it? How can you, in this time of everybody saying me, how can you believe that somebody was very happy to give their life, and on behalf of, of the other comrade? Who would believe that? They would say, who are these? Are these Jesus Christ or Muhammad? Who are they? These people that give their life to their country, give their life and say, you stay, I will go. It's unbelievable. It happened. Sometimes, even to us, to those people who have been part of it, is it a dream or is it happened? It is a history to die for. So everybody wants to have it. There is another one as well, the one that, having the NATO kind of gun, the very strong, smiley, beautiful girl that, it was on, another guy, is it Dr. something, from Tigray? He put it on his cover book. That's an Eritrean, fighter. And you know what, to me, if they want to copy it, so long they can acknowledge it, it's okay. It's a history that, they probably they like it, and they want to show off their title. That is fine, but at least they should say, by the way, this is EPLF.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of appropriating our images, they should, of course, there has to be acknowledgement of where these photos come from, and of course referring it to the EPLF or Eritrean women freedom fighters. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of people make they get upset about it, but for me, well, great. They don't have it, and they dying to have our pictures as a woman. Fantastic, but please put something. This is EPLF fighter or something. So I think we need to be a little relaxed and proud of who we are. And if somebody wants to look like us, then that's fine.
Yeah. It's a form of flattery, right? We should feel flattered.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much for this intriguing discussion. I wish you all the best in your projects. And hopefully, when after this pandemic, we'll be back in Eritrea achieving some of these goals we've set out.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rahel. So nice talking to you. It's really great that we have the Warsai following us, and I think on behalf of all of us, the Eritrean women, we are still loyal. We'll go on and on till the end, supporting our country, looking after our rights and equalities, and the struggle carries on.
Yes. Happy International Women's Day to you.
Yeah, happy International Women's Day. Thank you very much.